before we begin, thank you very much to the God Emperor of Mankind and his text-to-speech device for joining the Patreon campaign. God Emperor of Mankind, I do appreciate your contribution. It is always nice to see you here. I know the God Emperor. He's a bit of a troll, but it's fun to see him come back. It's fun to see him pitch in. So thank you once again, as always appreciated to anyone who's willing to chip in $1 or $2 a month to help this channel survive and help it grow, because we are getting close to the point where it's pulling in enough money to where I can grow it and we can do new cool things again. I am hoping we can get into that somewhere into 2024, hopefully. So, with 2024 in mind, I do realize that there are gaps in the knowledge I have when it comes to Transformers. I've been doing this daily content thing for almost 800 days in a row. And I will admit, there's a lot of topics that I really haven't covered. You would think doing 800 videos and almost all of them Transformer based, eventually I would just completely run out of material. Well, in a 40-year-old franchise, there's plenty of directions to go. But I will fully admit, there's a lot of stuff I just don't know about. And a lot of stuff that admittedly, I just kind of forget, you know? We had a recent video where I kind of made an error because I thought Thrilling 30 Blitzwing actually had a soft rubber head, or Generations Blitzwing, technically. No, the helmet of it is solid plastic. It's the faces that rotate around that's soft plastic. All I can remember is soft plastic made me really dislike that head design. That's all I could remember offhand. And sometimes these things are not the easiest to fact check in a moment's notice. So, you know, forgive me. I'm human. I will make errors. I will forget things. If you watch this channel long enough, you know I've made a lot of errors in videos because I couldn't remember things exactly as they were. But aside from those, there are just areas of Transformers I've never been personally that exposed to. You would think, after all this time and being a franchise I have loved literally my entire life, I would know everything or I would have experienced everything. Not the case. So here's what we're doing. I'm going to run down the list. Just a list of things that I know I'm deficient in my Transformer knowledge. And at the end of the video, I want you to leave something in the comment section telling me which one of these you'd be most interested in knowing more about or hearing my opinion about, or which one you think is the most worthwhile to learn about. Some of them are easier to do than others, but for the most part, I kind of want some feedback in what should I learn about that I just don't have any knowledge of right now. For instance, the Japanese Beast Wars series. We've talked about this. I've admitted this for most of the time. I know little bits and pieces of Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neo, but I don't know enough to really talk about the series. You know, I don't know how they end. I don't know, you know, the character conflicts, within team and rivalries across teams. I don't know how this show goes. I don't know the plots. I don't even know, like in Beast Wars 2, I don't even know, I never knew how to pronounce the name of the energy. Someone at TFCon told me in one ear out the other. All I know is it's a French pronunciation, which I can never remember anyway. So I know that's a big one. Because you would think as much as I talk about Beast Wars, I'd be able to talk about Beast Wars 2 and Neo. You would think with Magmatron on the way, I'd actually be able to talk a little bit about Beast Wars Neo at the very least. So it does occur to me, I do need to learn a little bit more about that. I do need to learn more about the Japanese Beast Wars side of the fiction. I've just never heard great things about it. Everything I ever heard about it was, yeah, they were kind of dull. So it is what it is. And to be fair, it's not the only Japanese series. There's a few Japanese exclusive series that I really don't know a whole lot about. In general, unless it's Super Link and Galaxy Force, which I actually watched subtitled, I don't really know the differences between the American version of a series and the Japanese version of the series. I don't know if Hotshot was any more tolerable in Micron Densetsu than he was in Armada, you know? Likewise, things like Transformers Go. Never interested in it, never really wanted to see it, so I never did. I know it's out there. I know my favorite subgroup did it. I just don't care. I just really didn't care. It's a very short series. It really did see. It's really just produced just to sell toys. I know every Transformers cartoon is produced just to sell toys, but they at least try to tell a story. They at least try to have different and fun characters. This really just did seem like an elongated commercial, and it really just did feel like promotional fluff. I think I've watched like episode 1 of it and just went, all they're gonna do is show off how the toys are fancy, right? Yeah? Okay. I don't need to see this now. I think I'm good. So that's just apathy at that point. And honestly, I don't know if Transformers Go is really worth knowing about, outside of just the toys are really weird. It works on the domestic side too. I've never really watched much of Rescue Bots. I've heard it's good, but it is the little kids cartoon. And while my tastes over the years have matured, and I still do watch, I still have cartoons I love to watch. I can still sit down and enjoy a well-written cartoon series. And I understand that for what it is, Rescue Bots is well-written, but it is well-written for little kids. And I just don't have like the taste or the mindset anymore to sit down and watch through something like that. Tiny bits and pieces I've heard. But I don't know. It might have, that one would have to be like a particular mood, or like the comment section would have to be like overwhelmingly, yes, go watch Rescue Bots. Otherwise, I just don't have the inclination. So thus, I don't know Chase, who's getting a brand new toy. I don't know what characters in this franchise need to come next. I did the rundown of like what characters I want to see at different size classes. If they did a whole wave, if they did a whole set of just the whole wave of just Rescue Bots characters, and I can do that just based on who fits what out of just design, but out of character, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. The same is true of Bots, but I think a lot of people and collectors skipped out on Bots. It is just the goofball cartoon. It is Transformers trying to do something that would be appropriate on Cartoon Network alongside things like, Gumball. It's a bizarre one. I sat down, I watched a few episodes, I kind of liked it. And it's one of those shows where I always want to, okay, I'll pick this up again, I'll finish out the season, and then we'll just do one video just to talk about Bots as a cartoon. And I never picked it up again. I've just not had the time. I've not had the thought. I've not had the desire. So it's another gap. It's weird to have a gap when it comes to a modern Transformers cartoon produced for the American audience. Because obviously I keep up with Earthspark and I keep up with all those shows. And admittedly, if I continue this I didn't really watch RID 2015 either. So that's another blind spot too. I don't know. It just hits a point where if it gets too kiddie, I'm out. And Rescue Bots, Bots, RID 2015, they all kind of like cross that line for me where it's just like, I can't really get into this. We'll see. But I think out of all the shows, foreign and domestic, all the shows, it's like the biggest blind spot for me, and the one you wouldn't think of is Masterforce. Because here's the thing. I watched Headmasters, and I liked Headmasters. I watched Victory, and I really liked Victory. In between those, I attempted to get into Masterforce, and I was bored to tears. I could not make myself care about anything that was going on. Nothing was catching my interest whatsoever. And I think I know why. I think it's just because of the way the gimmick worked, the way they wrote the pretender aspect of the characters in this series. I think really just pushed it into a point of like, this doesn't feel like Transformers anymore. I equate it to season 4 of Digimon. Was it Digimon Frontier? I can't remember. The one after Tamers. You'll know. But basically, they did away with the partner Digimon concept, and the kids just transformed into Digimon. Now, so the kids were basically Kamen Riders at this point in the digital world. I'm like, that's not Digimon. The whole point of Digimon is the partnership between the human and the Digimon. That was the whole point. That's the whole point of the series. You take away that, you take away the part of it I enjoyed. And for Masterforce, you took away the giant robots. I mean, they show up, but, they don't feel like characters themselves because I know it's a human piloting it. Or, or it is a Transformer hiding as a human, which gets even weirder. But, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, a Kamen Rider is fine, but turning something into like a Kamen Rider style storytelling where they transform into being robots, I don't like it. I really don't like it, and I don't want to see it. So I never got through Masterforce to this day. There's some other big blind spots that I don't really think are going to get filled up, even though I have the opportunity to. Things like the Japanese manga. I have them. I got both volumes, so I could absolutely read through them. I think the only story I've really read through was the Giltar story, because just the idea of like seeing Rada, number one, to get some kind of semblance on how that storyline worked, because the whole concept was weird. But also I wanted to see Galvatron and Rodimus Prime work together. And that's about the only story I ever really read. So that one kind of floats in my brain, but everything else, there's just so much of it to go through. And again, like the storytelling doesn't seem that great, because this is not like, it ain't One Piece. Let's put it that way. It ain't compelling long-term story. It's like little bits and pieces. Like the manga is mostly assembled from like TV magazine manga pages, just all kind of published together. So they're just trying to tell little stories that began and ended in the pages of the magazine. It's not the best. And I'm sure there's weird stuff. I'm sure there's stuff that I would enjoy. I'm sure there's stuff that's worth talking about. It just seems like there's so much to go through, and I'm not catching my interest at all. Here's a big one that would catch my interest, but this is a time sink. And it's another big one, considering what a Transformer guy I am. Considering the level of expert I kind of play myself out to be here on camera. The Marvel Comics. I've read a few of them. And I have read summaries of a lot of the events that happened in them. But most of my knowledge is just bits and pieces, events, I know how issue 4 ends with the reveal of Shockwave. I know the Dinobot origin. I know a little bit about the Underbase. I know about Ratbat's leadership. I know the Car Wash of Doom. I know Megatron and Ratchet getting merged. I know like the last Autobot and the return of Optimus Prime again. I do know Optimus Prime blowing himself up because he cheated in a video game. But all the connective tissue is what I'm leaving out. I know Ratchet's a much bigger deal in the comic books than he was in the original cartoon. Can't tell you who Ratchet was in the comic books. I know Blaster was a bigger deal. I know he was around a lot longer. Scorponok. I do actually have a little bit of knowledge that Scorponok I really liked as a kid. Like a lot of the issues I read as a kid had Scorponok. And it's one of the reasons why I love Scorponok's old school toy so much, because I thought he looked and acted really cool in the comic books. So that kind of like fires me up. That's more that one. So again, this would catch my interest if only to kind of piece together everything. But it's 80 issues of the comic book. 80 issues, and I don't have that kind of time. Even a little bit at a time. That's going to take a long time to get through the whole thing. I would like to know more, because I would love to talk comic book subjects. I will admit, even like some of my memory of more recent ones, like I know I read the Dreamwave run of Transformer comics. I can't tell you much about them. I don't remember a whole lot about them. A lot of IDW. I read through most of it. I can remember bits and pieces. I remember like Lost Light more than anything. I remember the Windblade series more than anything. Like the last one, Till All Are One. I remember that one. I can remember some of the later stuff. And then like pre-Dark Cybertron, it gets muddy. Like a lot of that kind of gets lost. So maybe I need a refresher on that too. Here's another one, and this one actually affects a request I have on Patreon right now. The video games. Someone asked me to tier list or rank or top 10 Transformer video games, and I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't played as many of them as it would take. So I played Devastation, I played Tatakai, played Convoy no Nazo, played the Japanese fighting game, played the American fighting game, played the PlayStation game. And it sounds like I've played a lot, right? Here's what I haven't played. I haven't played Prime. A little bit of it, but not enough to really talk about it. Haven't played most of the movie games. Didn't play Rise of the Darkspark. Did not play... I didn't really play Fall of Cybertron. I've tried playing Fall of Cybertron 3 times, and I always lose interest at the exact same spot. Like, at the exact same spot every single time I try to play. I don't know what it is. I just get bored, and I just don't have any desire to keep going. 3 times I've tried, and it's always when the mission with Jazz and Cliffjumper starts. Every time. I don't even understand it myself. So, there's actually, like, and there's other games. The mobile games. We had a Transformers fighting game on mobile. We have a tactical game on mobile. A lot of those. Haven't played any of those. Couldn't care less. I don't like... I don't like fighting games on a mobile platform, for starters. I need controllers in my hand, and I'm not buying a controller just to play a Transformer game on my phone. But I also don't like tactical games. So that takes out like the biggest of the Transformers mobile games. Don't want to play it, not interested. Here's some other games in Transformers I have not gotten to play. For starters, the TCG, because literally no one else in this area ever played it. But also, I could never understand the game. Someone told me, like, okay, if you read the rules, it's hard to understand the game. But if you watch someone play it, then you can figure it out. I've watched people play the game. I still do not know how it works. I still don't understand how it works as a game. And, now the game's I can't say long dead, because there's, like, third-party cards, and there's a virtual tabletop set that you can play. Still, I know nothing about it. I also know nothing about the Transformers TCG or RPG game. A friend of mine actually asked me to read it and review it with him because he does RPG reviews and he wanted a Transformers expert to go through it with him. I have the core rule book. It's just so freaking big. Again, it's a time sink to just sit down, read it, and actually understand how the game works. Also, I'm a D&D guy, so this... runs on a different system than D&D, so I'm not as familiar with it. In my brain, I try to bring everything back to like how it would work in 5th edition, which is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be like following this thing objectively and like trying to actually like see how it feels as like incorporating Transformers into an RPG scenario. I'll probably read that book at some point and do a review of it myself. It'll be like ice cold by then, but at least I can say I did it, right? And here's one of the biggest ones. This one, I've gotten so many requests for a video, and I've gotten so many people asking me for help with this. I can't help you. I apologize. And it's toy repair. Now, obviously, Electro here is completely gone. He is not coming back from this. There's no amount of glue that can fix that. But I've never done a lot of the repair tricks that people do. How do I tighten a hinge? I don't know. I've never done it. How do I like replace a pin or tighten a pin going through a transformer? I've never done it. I don't know. How to, tighten the ball joints? Oh, I know there's like a floor polish you can use. Okay, how do I do it? I don't know. I don't know how thick to apply it. I don't know how to work it afterwards. Do you set it to dry itself, or do you like roll the ball until it like gets? I don't know. Because honestly, like it's very rare when I do break a transformer, so I've never really had the need. And I'm very much one of those like, okay, if it's loose, I'm going to complain about it in a video, so I can't fix it. because I have to represent how it came out of the packaging. Same reason I don't touch up or customize a lot of my toys, because if I ever do want to review it, I need to actually present it the way it looks, you know, how it came out of the box. It needs to be stock. It needs to be authentic to how I first experienced it. So no new stickers, no new paint, no fixing the joints. It is as it is. And a lot of times, like, yeah, there's joints that could use some tightening, but I'm always the type of like, you know, it holds its pose. It's fine enough. So yeah, I'm not the best to ask for repair advice either. So that's another area where, though I don't know how I would practice it other than just sitting here with a transformer and just like smashing it on the desk and going, okay, now we're going to fix it. I don't think that would be very good. But there you go. There you go. There's a solid 20 minutes of just transformer stuff I don't know. So, like I said, in the comments below, what of this is worthy? If what of these topics, if I actually did more on it, would you actually want me to actually cover more of? Or even like, experience the journey as I watched it or learn about it. Or just like, even if something I forget, like, because if you watch the channel long enough, you know what topics I have skipped. So you could throw something at me that I haven't mentioned here that you'd like to hear about. So that's how that goes. So as always, thank you very much for watching. I'm definitely going to pay attention to this comment section. I am very curious about the results of this little experiment, but I will read through it, and I appreciate it. And then, of course, I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy?
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.